Good morning. Welcome to Look, your daily dose of the Cincinnati Art Museum. At 10 o'clock each weekday, a staff member or volunteer will be here to share an object from our collection. So join us for each new conversation. My name is Betty, and I'm a museum docent. Since this is the beginning of the Christian Holy Week, today I want to share an object that is full of Christian iconography. It is an oil painting on panel called Christ and the Apostles. We don't know the painter's name, but the work was done in Germany between 1480 and 1520. Around 1500, people wondered whether the end times were coming, much like Y2K or the pandemic in our lifetime. So this created a big market for religious art in Europe. Imagine you are the painter who received this commission to create a large painting of Christ and his apostles. How would you design it? How would you differentiate between 13 male figures so your viewers would know who was who? The artist put Christ in the center and arranged the apostles in 4 groups of 3 each on either side. He used symbols associated for centuries with each of the figures. Most came from legends of how each was martyred for the Christian faith or based on a story about that saint. In the first group, we see St. Thomas with his carpenter's rule from a legend in which he was hired to be an architect, followed by St. Jude with the spear and St. Simon with the saw used to kill them. In the second group, closer to Christ, we see St. Andrew, carrying the X-shaped cross on which he was crucified. The next figure is Judas, Jesus' betrayer, dressed in armor, his back turned toward Jesus, and an evil look on his face. And finally, we have St. Peter, with a book and keys representing Jesus' promise to him, "I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven." On the right side of Christ, we see St. James with a scallop shell, representing his role as a pilgrim spreading the faith. The most interesting to me is St. John, shown as a beardless younger man holding a goblet with a snake in it. This refers to a legend in which an enemy gave St. John a poisoned glass of wine. When John blessed the cup, the poison coalesced into a snake. It crawled out of the cup and slithered away, allowing the saint to drink the wine with no problem. That third group is rounded out by St. Bartholomew. The final group of apostles on the far right shows St. Philip with a cross-topped staff representing his evangelism, and St. James the Less and St. Matthew with the club and sword used to murder them. Now let's look at Jesus, painted with tenderness and compassion. If you look carefully, you can see images of the Madonna and Child and a kneeling saint on his mantle. He holds a globe in his hand to show his concern for the whole world. Before we leave, I want to point out a hidden surprise. If you look deep into St. John's cup, you can see the reflection of a face with downcast eyes, who is not St. John. Some scholars have speculated that it might be a small self-portrait of the artist. If you have time this week, stop by the Cincinnati Art Museum and take a look at this painting and other objects we have with Christian imagery. It may give you just the peace and quiet you need for this Holy Week.